Team USA's 12 and under national team wins gold at the World Cup. We'll talk with their head coach right after this.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, powered by Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. They can also haul rock and sand. They can build dams and repair dams. And now they can even do horizontal grinding of large debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is proud to be the premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Our guest today is David Sharp. David is the manager of the USA national team for the 12 and under age group. And you may be thinking, how do you get the manager of the USA baseball team on? And it's not that I made a cold call. David and I are former teammates at Faulkner University. David's wife, Angie, and I grew up together in Albany, Georgia, right here in Southwest Georgia. So we've had a connection for many years. David, glad to have you with me.
Man, I am thrilled to be on. I appreciate, when you reached out and asked me to come on. I was actually on the plane ride back from Mexico, and our plane was a little delayed, and I was like, absolutely, I'll be on. And we have a tremendous amount of respect for you. You're a great person. You do great work there in Southwest Georgia. And, to be able to come on and talk with you, about some things, I'm looking forward to it. And again, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. David, we're in a time of year right now, really all over the country, but specifically here in Southwest Georgia, where a lot of our viewerships are either players or the parents of players that have made youth baseball all-star teams, and they're in their districts and some state tournaments. And I'm sure one of the first things that's going to come to mind when they see this episode is, how do I get involved with USA Baseball? How does USA Baseball go out and evaluate talent at the 12 and under level? So just give us a quick rundown of how USA Baseball identifies that talent to eventually get it down to that 18-man roster.
There are about 2 or 3 different ways that players can be identified to be on the USA 12U national team. And obviously we have the 15U national team, the 18U national team, the collegiate national team, the women's national team. And then we just had the World Baseball Classic, the major league, so, it's all of them other than the World Baseball Classic roster. They're all pretty much the same way in terms of identifying players. And again, the collegiate team's a little different as well, but at the 12U specifically, there's a tournament in Cary, North Carolina, which is the home of USA Baseball. It's called the Futures, and USA Baseball asked some of the premier travel organizations from throughout the country with some of the better players to come up, and they'll go through a workout, and then they'll play in a 4-game tournament where the staff from USA Baseball will be at every game, taking notes, basically evaluating every player there, and then they will eventually, pull 12 to 15 kids from that event. There are also different regional, and this may be something that, your audience may be interested in. There are regional workouts throughout the country. I know there's one up in North Georgia. There's one in Tennessee. I believe there's one in Mississippi. And they're called the NTIS development camps. It's the National Team Identification Series, where you can go to these workouts and be evaluated. And obviously, those cream of the crop type players, they really jump out at those type of events. And, if you are interested in that, just go to usabaseball.com. Up at the top, there's an events tab, and you can scroll down to NTIS, and there are ways to have your son evaluated at the different NTIS events, the tryouts throughout the country.
Gotcha. Now, David, you spent your career as a teacher and a coach, mainly at the high school level, I think, there in the Huntsville, Alabama area. How did you yourself get involved with USA Baseball?
Man, it's crazy. In 2013, we took our high school team, Huntsville High School, up to play in the NHSI, which is the National High School Invitational. They take 16 of the top programs from across the state to go up and play in that premier event. Now, I don't want to say we were one of the 16 best programs from across the state, across the country, but we were able to go up and be competitive. And we were a public school going up playing against a lot of private schools and a lot of really baseball powerhouses. And we were able to hold our own. We went 2-2 up there, which was really good considering the level of competition we were up against. And after our final game, two employees from USA Baseball met me at home plate and asked me, what did I do during the summers? And I told them I ran baseball camps and all this. I said, well, we would love to have you as part of USA Baseball. And so that 2014 season, or that 2014 summer, that was my first year to go out and help identify players. But then in 2015, I became an assistant coach on the 12U national team that went to Taiwan and won gold. 2016, I was an assistant coach for the 12U team. We unfortunately finished second. Mexico beat us in the gold medal game. We came home with silver. And in 2017, I was fortunate enough to be the manager. We went back to Taiwan for the World Cup, and we were able to win the gold there. And then this past year, obviously, we were fortunate enough to win a crazy gold medal game to bring home gold again a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I want to get into that some here in just a minute. But like you said, this is your second stint, I think, as the manager of the 12 and under team. You've had a lot of success at this level. Run through just kind of briefly that first trip that you had over there and kind of compare that team to the team you've got now that just won gold.
In 2017, it was a very talented team. I mean, any team that you put together with a USA national team is going to be a talented team. Going to Taiwan, I've told my wife many times I could live in Taiwan. The people are baseball crazy. They're some of the friendliest people in the world. It's a great place to visit, and I would go back there in a heartbeat. But some of those players that we had that year, there's at least two of them fixing to be first round draft picks in this upcoming July draft. And that was a very talented team. We went over and in 2017, we pretty much breezed through pool play. We got to the super pool play, and Chinese Taipei beat us 17-2.
Wow.
Yes. And so we were forced to win the next two games, which we beat Mexico and Japan, which qualified us and put us in the gold medal game, where we were faced to play Chinese Taipei again in front of 13,000 people, which for an 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid, that is amazing. But we were able to win that game 7-2. That was a really, really talented team. This past team that we took over, there are some big headliners as part of that team. And at 11 and 12, you hate to talk about their, down the road, what's going to happen to them, because so much can happen when they're 11 or 12 years old. But there are some players on the team that we had this past, in the last month, that if they continue to develop, we'll see them signing with the Division I schools and getting their name called in the draft, and one thing, this may be a little crazy to mention on this show, but, we did have there's 3 or 4 guys that we thought are just, they really carried the stick for us. And you look at their dads. I mean, that's one thing you have to do. You look at projection, and, there's a couple guys on that team that we just took over. Their dads are 6'2", 6'4", and that they're probably going to progress from a physical standpoint. Now, can they continue to progress with their baseball skills? One neat little thing that baseball listeners might like, this past team that we took over, one kid by the name of Ty Gloss. His dad was Troy Gloss.
Yeah,
played for the Angels, played for the Braves. And then Eric Burns, a 10-year veteran with the Oakland A's. We took his son over as well. So it was pretty cool to be over there with those guys. And, and I'm gonna give those guys credit. They're former big leaguers, and their kids didn't play every game, but they were completely 2 feet in and committed to helping us win games. And that says a lot about, because those kids are always going to have that label that they're a former major leaguer's dad,
right.
And there's going to be high expectations for them, but they carried themselves well, and just a great experience we just finished up with.
David, I think back to 1987, 1988, when I stepped foot on the campus at Faulkner, And the first month of fall baseball practice, I probably learned more baseball in that month than I knew my entire high school career. And now, the last 28 years I've coached high school kids like you have, I'm looking at baseball IQ now. And you just got through coaching these guys at 12 and under. Is the baseball IQ just off the chart compared to when you and I came through?
100%. And again, we just dealt with the cream of the crop. I mean, those are some of the best 12-year-old players in the country, but their IQ and knowing, just take for instance, knowing what to swing at and knowing that, no balls, no strikes early in the count. I'm not chasing. If he gives me a center cut fastball, I'm going to hunt that fastball and I'm going to try to hammer that fastball. But then they also understand that the deeper they get in the account, that strike zone continues to expand a little bit, and they've got to be able to fight off a pitch that might be, one ball off the black of the plate. And that's something I can tell you for me at 11 years old, I just got in the box and started swinging. I didn't have a clue, because we were, thank goodness, we were able to run some first and third, some bunt defense, which ultimately helped us win that gold medal game. And they picked up on it really quick. We tried to make it simple for them, but they did a good job of picking it up. So yes, the baseball IQ continues to evolve, and that's good for the game because you want to be able to. Metrics are important. How far you hit the ball, how hard you throw the ball across the diamond, but you've got to have an understanding of the game. And that guy that's just that's a high baseball IQ guy. There is still plenty of room in the game for him. He doesn't have to hit it 102 off the bat when he's a high school senior. If you know how to play the game, that goes a long way.
Yeah, we're going to talk to David in just a moment about that gold medal game. Prior to that, today's program is also being brought to you by Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. He and his staff are located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Americus. Drop by and see Marty or any of his staff, and they'll discuss your insurance needs with you. You can reach them at 928-3686, or again, drop by their office at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And as always, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. David, this team put up some unbelievable run amounts. As I went through your scores, just couldn't believe. And the championship game, I think, was 29-28. Is that right?
That's correct.
And yes. I look back, I saw where you were down by 11 or 12 runs going into the last inning, and you came back to tie it and then won it in an extra inning. Is that right?
We did. And, we hit 44 home runs in 9 games. Now, the fences are pretty short there, 225 feet. I believe that's what it was. But the altitude in Mexico, man, the ball really, really flies. We didn't give up. We gave up some runs to just about every opponent. We did have 2 back-to-back shutouts against Mexico and Panama, which now that you look at it, man, getting a shutout on those fields is just, it's amazing. But we were able to, we pretty much was able to do what we thought we could do against all the teams with the exception of Venezuela. We played Venezuela in our third game of pool play, and we were down 24-22 going to the bottom of the 6th inning. And I have never felt so comfortable going to the bottom of the last inning, only being down by 2. Because we scored all year. We'd scored all week. So we were able to get a guy on base hit. Guy hits a home run, ties it up 24 apiece. And then Boston Tarjak, whose cousin plays for Texas A&M, walked us off with a bomb there to make it 25-24. And we were all like, man, it can't get any crazier than this. I mean, we've never been a part of a game like that ever. Well, fast forward like 6 days later, and we're playing Venezuela again in the gold medal game, and we jump out 7-1. But we kept telling our players, hey, man, there's no lead safe on this field. There's no lead that's safe. And true to that, they came back. We continued to battle. It was a slugfest. They were up 28-17 going to the bottom of the 6th inning. And there's only 6 innings are played, so it's not a 7th inning. Our first guy gets out. We're down 11 with 1 out. Obviously, we're taking a pitch until we're going to make him throw us a strike. Guy lost the zone a little bit, got behind hitters. We were able to get in good hitting counts, had some big hits. So, it starts to roll. It starts like a snowball. It starts to go. And, you're in that third base coaching box and you're thinking, okay, we're within 7. We're within 6. We're within 5. Well, we get within 5 and one of our guys that can really hit is up and they hit him. Not on purpose, but he gets hit by pitch, puts him on base. There's 2 outs. 2 outs. We're down 28-24. And Zaylon Johnson comes to the plate. He was our starting third baseman, and he eventually would be named the MVP of the tournament. They make a pitching change, and the coaches, we come together and we said, you know what, this guy can tie us up with one swing of the bat. So we went and we told him, said, hey, man, you're not going to take a strike here. The first pitch that you get over, the first fastball you get over the wide of the plate, let's let it rip and let's leave the yard. And I'm telling you, the very first pitch he sees from the relief pitcher, center cut right over the heart of the plate, boom, a no-doubter, ties us up 28-28. We almost won it in regulation, but we went to the top of the 7th, and it was international tiebreaker rules.
Right.
Start first and second and no outs. And of all the times that we did not give up a run, we did not give up a run in the top of the 7th. They try to bunt. Our pitcher gets the force at third. We got 1 out. He gets a punch out. We got 2 outs. Next guy singles, bases loaded, no outs. They hit a laser back up the middle. Our second baseman, Gigi Weiss, dives and lays out and makes one of the best catches I've ever seen to end the rally. We get 3 outs. We come in, and at that time we're like, man, we're fixing to win this game. We're at our 8-9 hole hitters. So our 8-hole hitter, Omar Enriquez, can really hit, but he's not the fastest kid. And the last thing that we could do was hit into a double play. So we bunt him. He bunts it pretty hard to the first base side. First baseman's got to come off and get the ball, turns and makes a throw and air mails it at first base, and we walk them off and win 29-28. And even to this day, while we're still recording this, I have a hard time believing that it still happened.
Yeah, and David, your son, I know Austin, your son, was a part of Butch Thompson's staff there as a student assistant, and it just so much reminds me of that super regional game where Auburn scored 13 in 1 inning at North Carolina. So you had to be thinking that.
It entered my mind. You're right. And I remember, when Auburn scored 13 in the top of the first at North Carolina in game 3, we were waiting to book our flights to Omaha, and we felt pretty good about a 13 spot in the first inning. So
that's right. Hey, David, I saw a video recently that USA Baseball put out, and it was you speaking to players. In fact, I put that on our website today as a preview to this interview. But, man, what an incredible video that was. You talked about having both feet in the circle, and you put players there arm in arm, and they had to put both feet in the circle if they were committed. But you didn't stop there. You got their parents who were there and said, hey, we've got to have you committed too. And if you're committed, put both of your feet in the circle. And it just gave me goosebumps. Talk a little bit about that.
I believe that's the biggest thing facing coaches today is getting people to work for one common goal. Because, we live in such an individualized era right now where it's what can I do? What can I do? If you get people that really come together and are legitimately, working for one goal, a ton can be achieved. And one of my big mottos is, 2 feet in. If you are legitimately 2 feet in, and that night you probably couldn't see it, but we had a big, large rope where those parents and those players, they had to step 2 feet in, and I said, now be careful before you step in there, because it's real easy to do. But what you're telling us is, I'm going to step in as a player, and if I don't play, I'm fine with it. All I want to do is win and bring a gold medal back home. Maybe I'm not playing shortstop. Maybe I'm playing right field. Maybe I'm hitting in the 9 hole, because all of these players that we took back in their local communities, they're hitting in the 3 hole. They're the number 1 arm. They're the shortstop. They're the big dog back where they're from. Yeah. But their roles were going to change on this team. And so we had to get people that were legitimately committed to this team. And then we asked the parents to do it, because these kids are 11 years old and they're going to Mexico, leaving the country for the first time ever, most of them. And we're going to go over there. And there's one thing that everyone wants to do over there. The number one thing that people want to do is beat the United States of
Right.
America.
Yeah.
It's like the New York Yankees. People respect you, but they don't like you.
Right.
Everybody's going to throw their big dog at us, and everybody wants to beat us. And it's not always going to be easy. And so the parents are going to be over there, and we only had 25 fans, and Mexico packed it out and we played them. And, a hostile environment. And so we needed the parents in that circle as well. And, we had no clue how that would play out. But looking back on it now, I really believe that had a lot to do with being able to come back 28-17. And, some of our players now, I see their Instagram and their Twitter and their hashtag 2 feet in. So maybe that's something that not just they carry with them through this USA baseball experience, but maybe that's something they carry into their high school and their days ahead. And maybe their parents can understand that, it's not always going to be roses for little Johnny. He's going to have to fight, and he may not start every game, but you know what? I've got to stay with them, and I've got to support this team. And that's exactly what those parents and players did. And it made for a great trip.
Absolutely. One of our other sponsors is Mike and Connie Gurley with the Shred Shed in Americus. They provide professional document shredding and always at an affordable price. They are also mobile, so they can come to your business and shred there. You can reach them at 938-2520, or you can contact them on their Facebook page. Thanks to Mike and Connie and the Shred Shed for being an official sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Dave, we've got a couple of questions left before we end this thing. I want to talk about the fact that you and I met back in the 1980s playing at Faulkner. We've spent 30-plus years, both of us, around the game of baseball as a coach now, and I want to hear from you. What advice would you give to parents of youth baseball players that are watching this right now that have that dream of their player playing at the next level, at the college level? And you and I know, boy, recruiting's really changed with the portal and the COVID years and all that. But you get all these parents that are living vicariously through their kids. What advice do you give a parent right now?
At 11 and 12 years old, let them be kids. Let them enjoy the game. There's not going to be a scholarship offer given or taken away at 11 years old or 12 years old. We had some studs, but not a one of those kids has talked to a college. They're still kids, and I want to share this because now I'm the Deep South supervisor for Prep Baseball Report. So I'm heavily involved in the recruiting part. And I think it's important for parents to understand this as well. Parents, you are being recruited and evaluated as much as players are. Now, I'm not talking about at 11 years old, but I'm talking about when they get into high school. These college coaches, they're evaluating parents and how that they carry themselves as well. Are you running a Gatorade to the dugout for him when he's 17 years old? Are you up on the on-deck circle telling him what he needs to do? I can assure you, man, that is a big red flag for college coaches. And I don't say that, to be disrespectful or to be a jerk. Maybe someone can hear that and it rings a bell with them that, hey, let your player, let him succeed on his own and let him fail on his own, because he's going to fail in this game, just like he's going to fail in life. And those college coaches, they want to see what's going to happen when he boots a ball with bases loaded and 2 outs. And how's he going to respond? And more so, what's that parent going to do as well? So I think, at an early age, let them be kids. Let them enjoy it.
Good advice.
That love for the game and continued work will continue on as they get older into their high school days.
Yeah. One of the neat things about this program, David, is we have a local radio station over in a neighboring town in Montezuma, Georgia, WMNZ, AM 1050. And every week they take the audio off of this program and play it on their radio station. So I want to thank Lance Till and WMNZ AM 1050. David, every week I give whoever I'm interviewing a chance to talk about the support network that they have behind the scenes and their family. Just kind of following your wife and kids on Facebook growing up, man, you've got a great support network. Tell us a little bit about them.
I am the most fortunate and blessed person in the world, I can assure you. I've been in the game for a long time, and I was not a good player. And, I've been very blessed. And, at the at the center of that is my wife. You know, she was a high school coach's wife for 25 years, you know, and I spent more time with other people's kids than I did my own. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. Now, as my kids got older, they always wanted to be at the park. And my son eventually played for me. And my daughter was a Diamond Doll. And, you know, she was involved in the baseball program. So it has its pros as well. But when they're young, I missed my son's first T-ball game ever. And that's something that still sticks with me today. But my wife has been fantastic. She understands. She helps us now with PBR helping run our events. My son, you mentioned him, played for me at Huntsville, went and played junior college baseball, finished his last 2 years at Auburn as a student assistant, where he became the bullpen catcher there on an Auburn team that went to Omaha. He's now the scouting director for PBR in Alabama. My daughter just graduated from Auburn. She just got a job at Brassfield and Gorey. We're very excited for her. She'll be relocating to Birmingham here in the next month or so. And she also she does some videoing for me and helps at the front desk for our PBR events. It really is a family-oriented business that we have. And, you know, when we do things with our family. You know, and I'm very fortunate and love all three of them. And they're just, I'm fortunate to be their father and to be married to my wife. That's just the bottom line.
David, we're wrapping this thing up now. Last question. You just come back from Mexico. You've won the gold medal. What's next for David Sharp?
We're back on the grind, man, this summer. We just finished up 2 events this past week here in Alabama. Next week, we're going to Oxford. We've got events on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, you know, we're full bore this summer with Prep Baseball Report here in the state of Alabama and the Deep South states. You know, there's a lot of time. There's long days, but like I tell everybody, I could still be in the classroom, you know,
Absolutely.
and I'm on the baseball field. So if I want to gripe about something, that's the wrong thing to gripe about. So we'll just stay on the field the rest of the summer and keep trying to help kids reach their goal of playing at the next level after high school.
We want to thank everybody for watching the Integrity Sports Podcast powered by Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. David, it's been a pleasure to have you on today. It's been a joy to watch you through the years with the success that you've had and to see all the good times with your family. Congratulations on the gold medal down in Mexico. That's huge. And for representing our country, just as this show is titled, you represented with integrity and made sure that your team did. And we appreciate that. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Anytime you ask, I'll come on. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for you. Enjoy following you as well. You do great work there in South Georgia. And again, thank you for the opportunity for me to come on.
So listen, if you're watching today on Facebook, hit the like button and share it with your friends. We're also trying to build our YouTube presence. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube, type in the Integrity Sports Podcast in the search bar. And when it comes up, hit the subscribe button. I promise we're not going to load you up with notifications. We just need to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So for USA Baseball's 12 and under manager, David Sharp, I'm your host, Tim Estes. Thanks for joining us. So long, everybody.